fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
You belong on the water. Adventure begins at the Jersey Shore Boat Sale and Expo, September 22nd, 23rd, and 24th at the Shoretown Ballpark in Lakewood, home of the Jersey Shore Blue Claws. For tickets and more, visit jerseyboatexpo.com.
The East River on Manhattan's west side, right near the United Nations building aboard rocket charters with Captain Tony Delernia. Hutch Sr., my dear old pa, hooked up alongside of Tony, who's tangling with a bluefish, actually. It's destined for the smoker. We were throwing Ralph Boda's flasher jigs up current, allowing them to come to rest on the bottom, about a 10 count, then reeling back to the boat at a pretty quick pace, rinse, repeat. My dad had never experienced that New York City action before, so I drove the old Piney up from the Pine Barrens to the concrete jungle, where we had prime tide, 2 hours of the outgoing, catching fish after fish, blues and stripers, piling on Peanut Bunker, tumbling down from upriver and the Long Island Sound. A good sign of good things to come. First fish was a 36-incher, and every one of the stripers that we caught, and there were plenty of them, was either under 28 inches or over 31 inches. So you got to wonder how many of those slot fish are still around after the first 4 months of that ASMFC mandate and the New York-New England summer fishery. Time will tell. I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman Magazine. It's Thursday, August 31st, the final day of August, and this is your Labor Day weekend video fishing forecast for the New Jersey Delaware Bay region. Now, in that August edition of the Fisherman Magazine that you probably still have lying around, the one with the cover shot, that's my good friend Ryan Shalaba. There was a cool article in there from Angelo Peluso on the NYC assault on New York City. Great fishing options in New York. If you ever find your way into the Big Apple for any reason, highly recommend. But just in time for September and your Labor Day weekend fishing fiestas, the September edition of the Fisherman Magazine just arrived. We just went to print on Sunday. It's out on newsstands now. And you subscribers, you should be seeing that magazine today, Thursday, maybe Friday or sometime in the weekend. But look for that copy available this week. Let's take a little tour of this hot off the presses copy, see what's inside. First, I will tell you, it's a heavy issue. 47 glossy pages, 71 pages dedicated to New Jersey, Delaware Bay options and fishing reports. Go ahead, I dare you. Find another monthly fishing publication anywhere devoted to our local fishing every month that's 118 printed pages long. Now, take a look at that table of contents because you'll see on the run down the Striper Coast, New England editor Dave Anderson, Long Island edition editor Matt Broderick, and myself covered the Striper run from New England down to New Jersey. So if you're looking to follow the Striper trail, we'll tell you how and where to do it. Late summer and jig and pop essentials from Captain John Raguso, because September is a fantastic month for tuna fishing. Topwater trophies from Brandon Saucely. Surf, a special. Metal jigs by Boat and Beach from Brian Kimoen. Dave Anderson's summary of preferred plastics in the surf. And our monthly tail end feature, another surf article by Ken Bliss III. Then open up page 1 of the local edition, New Jersey, Delaware Bay, table of contents. You will find the following. Bucktailing the Surf by Gen X Ackerman. A comprehensive analysis of New Jersey's fall stock trout in New Jersey by the madman himself, Tom P. Saltwater Underground's Nick Konicheski shows us what goes into his plug selection for the entire fall run, September, October, November into December. And Alan Riley offers sage advice for the surfcaster who refuses to hang up the waders. Surf. Great surf edition. But one big feature story that appears in all 3 editions, New England, Long Island Metro, New York, and New Jersey, Delaware Bay, is my article about the Fishing Efforts Survey and NOAA's recent admission that there are, quote, reporting errors and illogical responses in the angler effort data that they compile to make all of their management decisions. Now, those management decisions, as I reference in the article, includes the emergency action to cut the recreational limits of striped bass from what it was, the higher slot limit, to just 28 to 31 inches. And it also impacted the decision for the Mid-Atlantic Fishery Management Council a few weeks back to approve a reduction in recreational harvest for fluke in 2024. Bottom line here, when you read the story that's in that latest edition of the Fisherman Magazine, you will see that the Angler Efforts Survey that NOAA Fisheries conducts says, well, it's up to 40% over what's really happening. By the same token, they're cutting next year's fluke limits by up to 40%. You see the disconnect? One says, well, we're overestimating effort by 40%, but we're still going to take 40% out of your fluke hide. Yeah, I love my country, as I always say, but I do not trust my government, for good reason. Again, look for your subscription copy in the mailbox. Thursday, maybe Friday, possibly Saturday. Newsstands and tackle shops have that right now. Look for Lee Wakefield on the cover, the Saltwater Heart Fishing Crew, our annual surf special from the Fisherman Magazine. Now, surf-wise at this point, we're going into kind of probably a little bit of a transition period, but Nick Konicheski reports at thefisherman.com this week, more fluke are moving in along the surf line at this point, no doubt leaving the inlets and chasing some of the baits, but especially as the water temperatures get higher in the back, that's why you're going to find more of those surf fluke at this point. A bluefish from 1/2 to 3 pounds up and down the Jersey Shore at this point. Kingfish, spot, and croakers taking small baits, while sporadic shots of bonita are appearing, Spanish mackerel as well, and false albacore are also popping up here and there, and blackfishing, of course, is a good bet on those jetties. I was talking to some friends up on the Raritan recently, a lot of croakers or hardheads up there, in addition to those spot. You know, so this has really been a kind of a turnabout season where we talk about croaker primarily central South Jersey, but more croaker throughout the state of New Jersey. Kingfish, of course, which used to be a more South Jersey fishery, that has spread out up to Long Island. That's been years in the making as well. On that false albacore confirmation, we had Patty from the Tackle Box in Hazlitt confirm that the first albies made a showing at the first crack of dawn from Seagirt up to Monmouth Beach last week. Gillios in Seabright reported that albies made a showing for Stan by boat the other day, and Stan said they were just outside of casting range for surf casters. So maybe it's time to break out those deadly dicks, the exo jigs. Even blind casting will surprise you, as it did for me 2 falls ago at Bayhead. Don't think you just have to look at the blitzing fish. You never know what you're going to find until you put that baited hook or that hooked rig into the wash. There was actually that false albacore that I just showed you I caught was back in October of 2021, but that was blind casting an epoxy jig on the beach at Bayhead, reeling at a steady pace. I was hoping for bonita for dinner, but that screaming reel. It told me I wasn't bringing anything home for food. Certainly not a false albacore. Wouldn't feed it to my cat. I don't even have a cat. Either way, look for a shot at the Speedsters this weekend. And again, all the way into October. Also keep in mind if you're working those jetties at Barnegat down to Atlantic City, Avalon, Cape May, also down into Delaware, Indian River Inlet, there are still plenty of sheepshead on the prowl as well that are taking those tog jigs that are tipped with fiddler, sand crab, calico, shedder, or greenie. AC jetties are on fire, according to Noel at One Stop Bait and Tackle. Hence, he's bringing in green crabs by the multi-bushel all the time. John Creeley, he did a little sheep's herding the other day, kayaking around the structure in South Jersey with a 1/2 ounce copper bottom sweeper jig with a sand flea. Picked up a 4-pound, 12-ounce sheep's head. That's the first, he said, from his kayak. Manny Butera checked in with me this week, caught a mess of spot, as I mentioned before, in the Stone Harbor surf. Said they were everywhere, all on kingfish rigs. Fish bite, bloodworm, and bloodworm as well. Cape May goodies is what my grandfather used to call them. But if you can get them, yes, certainly small fish, but great on the table if you want to fry up some little bits and pieces of spot. But they also make terrific baits. They make great tuna baits and the great doormat fluke baits for the rest of September as we have this Jersey Shore doormat fluking going on, so if you want to get them into the live well. The crew at Avalon Hodgepodge said kingfish are being caught in goodly numbers on bloodworms and fish bites, and the 8th Street jetty and bridges are giving up tog like crazy on green crabs. Both areas have seen some triggerfish caught as well. Don't forget, we reported from Avalon Hodgepodge a few weeks ago, but this is the final weekend to visit Dave and Tammy, say goodbye to the folks at Avalon Hodgepodge as they're closing the doors for good on September 4th. The good news with that is right now you've got 40% off everything in Avalon Hodgepodge. I don't know if they're going to 50 or not. We'll see. Go in, say hello, stop in and see the folks. The Carbones will be calling it quits, retiring to Florida after September 4th. Good luck and have fun on your retirement, folks. Speaking of Florida, of course, Hurricane Idalia made landfall on Wednesday in between the Panhandle and the more populated coast of Tampa in an area known more as wild country in Florida. Category 3. There's still some damage, of course, despite that stretch there being a little less populated than Tampa. So our thoughts and prayers are with the folks down there. Category 3, that is something else. Watching the predicted path, though, of this post-hurricane, once it made landfall and starts to break up, it would appear as if Idalia or her remnants will not cause too many problems with our region this Labor Day weekend. That's good news. Also good news that Hurricane Franklin is tracking east-northeast at this point, and that's off the Atlantic coast. Didn't really seem like a threat. But the bad news, of course, is the offshore conditions from Franklin and a little bit from Idalia as well. From the Hudson to Baltimore, it does look a little bit sporty now through Sunday at the very least. So do keep an eye on that. If winds do become a problem in terms of working the reefs and wrecks at any day ahead, and you want to find some calmer waters in the bays or rivers, this week, Open Boat with Jenny Ackerman shows you what you'll find in the Shark River area with a rental boat option out of the Den should you want to play an away game this weekend. Check it out.
Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Open Boat. Today we're at Fisherman's Den in Belmar with Tom, and Fisherman's Den is located right on the Shark River, and if you don't want to go out front fluking, Shark River is loaded with fluke all season long.
Yes it is, yes.
And Tom is going to give us a little rundown on what Fisherman's Den offers for fluke fishermen who want to get into the Shark River bite.
The river is very, very, very good with fluke fishing. I mean, there's been a lot of shorts yet, but now we're starting to see more and more keepers. We also have 18 rental boats if you want to fish in the river. The boats hold up to 4 people. We rent them every day. We have every kind of bait you might want. We have live killies, we have squid, spearing, smelts, mackerel fillets, anything you might want. We have a full line of gulp, all the jig heads. So we have everything you might need, rods, reels, buckets, killie buckets, aerators. We carry just about everything you might need.
So what type of rigs would you recommend using in the river?
Well, right now in the river, they've been using a lot of gulp. They're 6-inch jerk shads or the 4-inch swimming mullet. Depending on the wind and the tide, but anywhere from usually ½ ounce to 1.5 ounces in the river. I mean, if it's really blowing hard, then they'll use 2 to 3 ounces. But they've been very, very good lately. The other thing that's open also is the blackfish season. You're only allowed 1 fish, but if you go by the jetties here, like on First Avenue, they've been doing pretty good. It's been a lot of shorts, but we're starting to see some keepers, but they are catching them. There's been sea robins in the river now. We're seeing more of them. And then, not on a steady basis, but like 3-4 days a week, we've been seeing cocktail blues. And they're catching them by the jetty or like by the train bridge or the Main Street Bridge in Delaware.
Fisherman's Den is in a prime location here. You have the fluke in the Shark River, you have black fishing on the jetties, cocktail blues, and even some sea robins. So definitely stop in and stock up and take advantage of this awesome fishing season. Thank you, Tom.
Yep, thank you.
With this tropical weather of late summer come the tropical visitors. Ernie Gellert emailed me this week a fish he caught in a cast net behind his house on Lake Louise in Point Pleasant Beach. I checked in with my marine biology major buddy, John, who said, juvenile look down. How about that? Beautiful looking fish, should be in an aquarium somewhere. Fluke master Dave Lilly brought a monster into the tackle box the other day, And there's a big bluefish tournament this past weekend on Long Island Sound. Nothing but double-digit choppers. So what does this all mean in terms of the Fisherman Magazine's Dream Boat Fishing Challenge? Let's check in with my friend Tim Smith for a look at the leaderboard.
Big changes came this week with just 3 fish hitting the board. The first was a 2.5-pound porgy weighed in by Michael Rosenberg of Comac, New York, landing him in 4th place for the category. Next, we had Amagansett, New York's Sam Doherty, who upgraded his 5th place fluke with a 11.92-pounder that was good enough for 3rd place. Lastly, we have the 2023 Dream Boat's first angler to place in all 4 categories simultaneously. That's Kyle Kraus of Tautog, New York, who entered a 15.12-pound bluefish, landing him in 5th place for the gator category and knocking out Luke Ciccarelli off the leaderboard, taking the 3rd place overall. The top 3 looks like this. Bob Cifarelli is still sitting pretty in 1st place with 24 points. Eddie Terrabil holds steady in 2nd place with 18 points. And Kyle Kraus is our new 3rd place angler with 16 points. The Dream Boat Fishing Challenge is the Fisherman subscriber-only multi-species fishing competition with a chance to win a 21-foot Steigercraft center console powered by Yamaha, along with many other great prizes. Visit thefisherman.com to subscribe and get all the details so you can be part of the action.
Few of my Jersey Shore buddies are leaving this weekend, trying to escape the crowds heading west. Let's check in with my friend George, the Pocono outdoors guy, to see what kind of sweetwater action lies ahead of them.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, for a couple of weeks now, we've been talking about how the weather has played such an important part in some of the fishing we're doing. Well, right now, the weather has been proving kind of a positive impact. You know, these cool nights have really been cooling down these rivers, especially the rivers. Going to take a little bit more time, I think, for some of these deeper lakes and such. But places like the Delaware River, you know, I've been checking the temperatures out in the Regalsville area, and they've been down in the high 60s and low 70s now for the past week or so. That's letting for some really good smallmouth fishing, guys. They like that cold water. Even some holdover striper fishing has been really productive. Now, moving over a little bit further in New Jersey, Sean Wong checked in, and he's been up fishing some of those rivers in northern New Jersey with his Pop Jen, getting to some fantastic smallmouth as well, using that head and topwater bait and being really productive. So the pattern's starting to develop with that fall time fishing. Now, going out to the Susquehanna River, good friends from the Raritan River Pursuits podcast, Uncle Catfish and Ryan Madero were out on their kayaks on the river, showing just what a great fishery the Susquehanna River is for those smallmouth. So, guys, I think we have some really good opportunities ahead of us. You know, the next 8 to 10 weeks is probably some of the best fishing of the year, and I'm really looking forward to that myself. So I hope you guys are out getting on them as well. Enjoy this holiday weekend, and we'll catch you next time. But from Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
Couple of calendar items from the September edition of the Fisherman Magazine. You'll find that entire calendar for September on page 10. But you've got the Rock the Dock LBI Fluke Tournament. That's going on this weekend. If you don't have a boat, it doesn't matter. You can find some other options. Beach, kayak, but you can also fish the Miss Beach Haven or the Mary M4 if you prefer to leave the driving to someone else. Go to njfishingclub.com for details. The New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council meets next Thursday, September 7th in Galloway. I'll be there. I want to see what kind of fireworks are blowing up there in the council meeting following the bombshell report on NOAA's Fishing Efforts Survey that you'll read in this month's edition of the Fisherman Magazine. And Captain Andy, Riptide Bait and Tackle. He kicks off the Riptide Fall Striper Derby next week as well. That event runs through December along the beaches of Brigantine. Now, on the striper front, the folks at Gabriel Tackle say the night creepers are finding stripers out back. And I'll tell you, with the passing of these first couple of tropical systems, a few cooler nights, and all that bait stacked up out back, I would think the sod bank sessions should begin for everyone soon after the Labor Day weekend. You will find me on the road working those sod banks in the upper stretches of Barnegat Bay sometime next week, as soon as the crowds leave, and hopefully those stripers are there and hungry along the edges, or the sedges. There's also a new event being run by Aaron Agosto Snyder for jetty jocks in Atlantic City. That's from September 8th through the 17th. It's called the Josh Ryle Memorial Tournament. For details, go to fishdonkey.com. Yeah, and you're looking for some of those jetty donkeys as well. Summer does not end, I will remind you, until September 21st. I know everybody says that summer comes to an end after Labor Day, but these are actually the finest days ahead along the Jersey Shore and throughout the Delaware coast. It's quieter, a lot of the crowds are gone, and things just start getting better. We've got the run up, we've got those bonita, you've got all those panfish. We're going to start seeing the false albacore in the surf by the third week in September into October. The first good wave of bunker arriving in early October should mean the stripers turn on. And of course, if this season is anything like last season, I would hold on to some of those sick days and vacation days until sometime in November, because the fall run is staring us right smack in front of us. Right there, I can see it. It's coming up on the horizon. I can feel it in my bones. Enjoy the weekend. Pick up your copy of the September edition of the Fisherman Magazine, and I will see you on the beach.